and we do actually take 10 minutes for each of 4 presentations, we can still get on time by 10 o'clock. So my challenge is going to be to present the first session and also do a general summary of what's meant to happen today. Obviously we have 4 sessions now. We have leadership, communication and advocacy, quality in learning and teaching, professional development and communication and engagement, and research and critical reflection. What I propose at 10 o'clock is that if the leadership group are in the mini hall, which is straight across the other side of the this quadrant just outside us here, if quality in learning and teaching can go to the museum. I'm not absolutely sure where the museum is. Is anyone from UP here?
It's the second floor, one floor above.
But also down that way,
yes.
Is it? Yeah. And then if we have professional development and communication goes to Annex 232, which is in the next quadrangle and on one floor up. And therefore research and critical reflection would go to 226, which I assume is also in that same area. Yep. So if you've got the program schedule, it's just will align the 4 breakout groups in the order that the breakout groups are listed. In terms of the presentations now, we're hoping actually that the titles are relatively self-explanatory. And so it's good to touch on some of the points just to remind ourselves, but the critical discussion will be in the small groups that will break out at 10 o'clock. I was really struck yesterday. First of all, I want to thank everyone who organised the tour yesterday. It was really interesting to get to know the campus, and particularly to come to know that wonderful collection in the museum. The descriptions I thought in the museum were really lovely, and one of them was actually, as on the slide behind you. Can you sort of see the slide behind? Great. The actual phrasing was, the collection loses its spirit if it is not felt in the context of current history and present consciousness. But I think there's also obviously a real challenge there, that music arguably loses its spirit if it's not felt in the context of current history and present consciousness. And I think within the ASEAN economic community developments, one of the risks is that the current history and present consciousness, in its directionality, in its ambitions to get things moving forward, particularly economically, can forget to also include cultural dimensions, unless the cultural dimensions themselves advocate for themselves. And the context of connecting it with current history and present consciousness is an important component. It's not just that we want culture to be the ritual of the past, but obviously that it's very much in conversation with the present and is being generated in the present. So I think our role as advocates in the political world, particularly in the ASEAN context, is absolutely critical at this stage. There's huge positive ambition for the ASEAN evolution. And it presents us with an opportunity. If we don't take that opportunity, it arguably presents us with a threat, which is that we could be forgotten. And so that's the essence, if you like, of providing leadership, communication and advocacy. On the website you can find summaries of what we think we need to do. These are just summaries of those summaries. And obviously a critical one therefore is position music in the political landscape. It was wonderful to have the keynote speech yesterday, which demonstrated that music was getting a position in the political landscape of the University of the Philippines. Moving this into the tertiary sector, into the education department as part of the political landscape. So it's not only that we make sure prime ministers, presidents and ministers know about what's going on in our developments, it's also the politics of the university sector, the education sector, the community sector, and so on. There's a lot of dimensions in which we can develop this. Critically, There's advocacy for the value of us connecting with each other across borders. There's still not huge amounts of cross-border collaboration going on a regular basis between our schools. Most of our schools have probably more interactions with non-Southeast Asian international partners than we do with Southeast Asian international partners. So we shouldn't think our advocacy is only for the outside world and for the non-musicians. There's a lot to be done in convincing our own sector of this. One of the things that's obviously critical is that the quality of what we do has to be without compromise. We have to be professional in what we do, and one of the things that's going to be critical in that is developing our professional capacities. And that can be through exchange, that can be through leadership seminars of an international dimension where people can come to one place and so on. Core to all of this is going to be a funding support mechanism which is more developed than we have at present. We're very grateful to Mohd and to Dr. Sugree for giving foundational support for making this organisation come forward. But for some of these things to have meaning, we're going to need to build on that foundation to get support from national agencies who hopefully will also value this as part of their ASEAN ambitions. And we're different. That's one of the great things that can be our value. While they're thinking of doctors and lawyers and scientists, if musicians come in and say, actually, culture matters, the funding we actually require to make this difference is really quite small. And the political kudos that can be achieved by supporters coming and giving support for culture is quite well beyond the actual cost. Different countries face different challenges, and we have, as a community, to support each other, or we have the opportunity to support each other. And that's one of the things that I think will be vital in taking this forward. It's been already interesting to see how different communities are reacting in different ways to this group. So let's see if that can continue. But above all, I think we need to make sure we advocate this to music students. Music students have a tendency to be very singular in their vision as to what they should be achieving. And it probably means that their world, in some cases, is only a room of about 8 feet by 6 feet. That's their universe. So one of the things we need to do is help them recognize that there's a regional opportunity for their development here. Make sure that they're not just obsessed with what happens in the wider world of America or Europe or wherever, but particularly in this region. And finally, and this is huge, what does it mean to be a professional musician? Is there a profession? If there isn't yet a full profession, isn't that an exciting opportunity for our students to build a profession, to make a difference, to help things grow? But there's a huge amount of work potentially to do here. And so that's what I think we mean within these fields of leadership, communication and advocacy. Now the other sectors and topics are obviously there to take some of these dimensions forward in greater specificity. There is a sense in which all the themes come back to how we advocate for them and manage them. Finally, just a little bit of a look at what we said we'd do last year. I was very pleased to see it says it's from 2014 to 2015. It's still 2015, so we're still in with a chance. One of them was actually, obviously, at the point of the formal establishment of SEADOM, that we would make clear to the world that we exist. And the thought is obviously to take that forward from this Congress through press releases and so on. It's taken longer to get to that point of formalization, but we're there now, so this is the time where we can take that forward. And finally, just trying to find routes whereby we can communicate with each other. One of the challenges that Joe and the office have faced, and actually the different sub-theme leaders have faced, people don't particularly respond to emails. We need to work out whether that's a problem of the email response as our communication channel, whether we need a different route, or we need to get people to be more proactive that by not responding, we're not going forward. I think the critical message for this Congress is actually, it's all about individual responsibilities. It's about each person recognizing they have a role to play in making this organization go forward. I think that's what was most exciting last year when we were together, that people began to see that this is something to take forward. Now we have to get that into action. So, as I say, at 10 o'clock, these are the sorts of things we'd like to be working through. I hope we can have in each group national representation where possible, so that the people can report back from what happened in each other's sessions. There will, as we said, be a short summary of what was discussed in each session, and that will be possible to read. I think the critical thing is that we get efficiently through the different groups, and that's why we didn't just want to run 7 different sessions, but run them in parallel. Thank you very much. Go over to Chris.
Good morning, everyone. Sawadee ka. As you can see, I am not Thai, as you can see. So I am currently working as Associate Dean of Academic Affairs and Research at the College of Music of Mohd University. Just to tell you a little bit about where I come from, because I think that's important. I'm American. I come from the US, and there I studied music education for my undergraduate degree. Following that, I studied music performance, and I think it's really important, this track, just because it gives me something different. It made me into what I consider to be an educator performer. It changed the way I thought about how I perform music and teach music. And so I've been working now in Thailand for 8 years. Yesterday I met many of you, and I look forward to meeting the rest of you today. So for quality of teaching and learning, this is the first year that I have done this, so what I planned to do was to start with something new. So here are the goals for the Subcommittee for Quality in Teaching and Learning. Number 1, to aspire to promote regional networking of individual teachers. As Bernard said just now, this is something that we need to do better. We have a propensity to promote outside, to try to connect outside of Southeast Asia, but not within. And from what I can hear from our discussion yesterday, we have a lot to offer each other. Number 2, to promote the knowledge of ways that music is taught by SEADOM member institutions. This is what I plan to focus on, and this is something where I see that we have area for growth. And number 3, learning about varied curricula for particular music subjects and programs of study. Even yesterday, I heard several times people asking, can you send me a copy of your program? Oh, you have a new program, can you send to me? Even this, it seems to be a hot topic among people here that I heard yesterday. Here's my plan. Number 1, to identify the meaning of quality in teaching and learning. When you say quality in teaching and learning, what does that mean? Well, we all have different ideas. If you look at books on this subject, they're all very, very different. So for us, what does that mean? Number 2, identify how we determine quality in teaching and learning. In many Asian countries, people assume that quality comes with age. If you are older, then you have the quality, and this is just something that people tend to assume. And there are other things too, like for example, degree level. People assume that if you have a certain degree level, then it makes you qualified. We all know that not all doctors are the same. Number 3, identify challenges in obtaining a high level of teaching and learning. We all face challenges. Some of us come from big schools with unique challenges, from middle schools, from different challenges, and from very small schools with different challenges. And number 4, identify strategies for collaborating and improving teaching and learning. So what I did was I brainstormed a little bit what I thought were my ideas about these 4 things, and I'm going to share with you just a little bit. The idea for the theme discussion today, what I would like to do is I would like to hear from you. I would like to know what your ideas are, and that's where I think we will start to move forward. So to identify the meaning of quality in teaching and learning could be defined in terms of program structure. A quality program with quality courses means a high quality, could be defined in that way. In the content that's taught in our courses, for example, do we teach movable do? Do we teach fixed do? Movable do, movable do, la? There's many choices for content, and that involves quality. Also, lesson planning. If you were to do a search for lesson planning in private lessons, you would find almost nothing. However, this is the majority of the courses that we teach at a university. Teaching technique. Music performers were not trained how to teach for all of the students who study performance. Music education, a completely different track, teaches psychology, teaching technique, how to teach the different instruments, and also will often have some kind of teaching practicum. And yet in our schools, most of our teachers are performing faculty. Mentorship skills. It's also possible to define the quality in terms of mentorship skills. How we determine quality of teaching and learning. It could be the degree level of our instructors. At my school, for us to be able to work on graduate committees, we have to be a doctor, without exception. The degree type, and this one is kind of funny to me. By degree type, I mean, for example, PhD, DM. It's possible at my school for someone who has a PhD to work on a committee in a different field, And me in music with a DM, I cannot. If the student is a PhD student, the degree of the faculty must be also PhD, even in a different area of study. Teaching experience. Sometimes we assume that people with teaching experience, lots of teaching experience, are good teachers. This one also, performance experience. We assume sometimes that good performers also make good teachers. Age, like I said before. Student evaluation of teaching, and this is where our real evaluation of teaching comes in. How our students evaluate our teachers, and more importantly, observation of teaching. Number 3, challenges. And again, these are the challenges that I face. Your challenges would be probably different. Performance instructors that don't like to teach. Performance instructors that don't know how to teach. Institutions that cannot access high-quality instructors. Instructors don't want to be observed. No or weak review system for faculty performance. Instructors don't want to change or teach in new ways. This is a problem I have seen in every level, from the US to Thailand. Every summer in the US, they will give the teachers a book to study. Okay, you read this book over the summer, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about it. And so much hesitation to do anything like that. And number 4, identify strategies for collaborating and improving quality. Program and course content development. Again, this is one of the things that I heard among discussion yesterday. Helping as external reviewers. Doing instructor exchanges and also student exchanges, credit transfers. Again, in my own brainstorming, these were the things that I came up with. And what I would like to do today is to do these 4 things. Probably we will get through 1 and start to talk about 2. I understand that in 45 minutes it's not time to talk about everyone, but this is a long-term plan for me. I look forward to hearing what you have to say. Thank you very much.
Good morning, audience and directors. I am the old man and the old book, so I need someone to help. We have the same job, same problems, same headache, and also we have to confront with nearly the same government Most of the problems of the dean and directors is hardware. You don't have hardware enough rooms. Software, you don't have software enough. Peopleware, you don't have teachers, students, good student to come, good teacher to come. You don't have moneyware. It's the most important thing for the deans and directors is moneyware. And finally, we're thinking about where the quality ware came from. Those 4 or 5 things. And lack of spiritual wares. And what do we have? We have underwear. And, come to see them, I think the idea is when we have the problems, I don't know where to talk to. This is our friend, deans and the directors, that we can share the problems. My job, challenging today about professional development and communication engagement. First thing, I think the quality is no compromise. You have to do the quality. And standard is a minimum requirement for the quality. So you have to do standard. And what does standard mean? When Kennedy running for the president, he said every American homes have to have a toilet. So they built American standard everywhere. Just it means it's minimum requirement. When you are the dean or director, you don't have a standard, a basic minimum requirement, you need to do it. It's your job. Next. Communications is only 2 ways. I come to you or you come to me. There's only 2 ways, no other ways. If you come to me and you fail, you disappoint, it's my failure. You feel bad when you came to see me, you come to see me, and it's my problems. If I make a good thing in my school and you don't come to see me, it's your problems, not my problems. So the dean's job to make your own school become the quality one. If nobody come to see you, the president didn't come, your audience, family didn't come, their problems. If they do come to you and they feel like they're disappointed, it's your mistake. Next. I think for me, I have only 3 things to do: quality, quality, and quality. Nothing else. Whatever quality means to you, you have to do a quality. Without quality, you shouldn't be a dean. The dean or directors have to do the thing that others cannot do. That's why they choose you to become a dean. If anyone can do, you don't have to be a dean. Dean job, it means you have to do something that other people cannot do. You have to remember that music is a performing art. It's not talking or thinking or reading. Music is a performing art. You have to listen to the music. And music will do other things. The quality will do other things for you. Music can do its job for you. But your job, you have to do performing arts, it's music. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Shahanum Shah. I'm from the Faculty of Music, University Technology Mara in Malaysia. And last year I was put in charge as the chair for this research and critical reflection team. Okay? For those of you who are not here, just let me give you a bit of background. So last year in our discussion group, we had a very small group. There were 4 of us basically. And today I only see my other fellow member, Dr. Eleanor Thorn from NAFA Singapore. And the group was also attended by Masako Yoki from Japan and, okay, I don't know how to pronounce this, Santan Desjamron from Burapa University. So basically then now it was left to the 2 of us in the group. And so I think one of the challenges that we faced in this group was how to take forward with the diversity of research that's going on in the region, and also the research areas per se in music itself. You know, we have composition, performance, etc., etc. You know, so and how can we make that connections among the researchers with the same interests? Yeah? Because, for example, I think each one of the sub-themes are researchable in itself and could also be presented as a research area. So basically, hang on, now. Sorry, I think I brought the wrong pen drive. So if you don't mind, I just read it. Okay. Anyway, whatever I want to present here is on the website already. So as I mentioned, despite the challenges, we came up with a few aims which we thought were doable given the wide scope of the area itself. One of it is to promote research on music in Southeast Asia, to promote and facilitate research collaborations among SEADOM members in the different types and areas of research, to provide a platform for the sharing of information on research in Southeast Asia, and to provide a database of co-researchers in respective areas of expertise. So even then, as you can see, these aims will actually take quite a while, because how can we get all this information from all the members, etc. And we had actually outlined specific projects for 2014 and 2015. So as Bernard said just now, we are in 2015, so hopefully we may still have time to do at least part of it, which is to create a database of those interested in research collaborations and their respective areas of expertise, and perhaps to also initiate collaborative research among SEADOM members that can fulfill the aims of SEADOM. So as you can see, even then, I think again, you know, it's a very big thing of how can we collaborate, because especially since we don't know who is out there and what are their areas of interest. So perhaps in this group at 10 o'clock, we can start looking at how we can, you know, go about either initiating projects among ourselves or creating that database, because I think there's a lot of similarities that we can actually start working on. So perhaps we could find out if, for example, we are taking something in the area of teaching and learning of Southeast Asian traditional music, we could try to find out who among us are already doing research in that area and come together perhaps to do something on a bigger scale and, you know, get that published or something. Okay, and actually we had also discussed other additional suggestions that came up, was to maybe somewhere down the line in a few years to come up with a SEADOM journal, although there are many other journals already in the region, and to perhaps also have a seminar or conference with SEADOM as the center. Papers from the various sub-themes could be presented, and perhaps the SEADOM website eventually can also act as a repository of information as to provide links to further information. So hopefully, as I mentioned in the group, in the working group at 10 o'clock, those of us who are interested in this can come together and we can try to work things out and how to push it forward. Thank you very much.
so obviously these are the 4 sessions. I think our first task needs to be to make sure that Shahanum's group has more than 4 people in it this year. Looking around, there's about 50 of us in the room, so that means we can be working on around 12 in each of the discussion groups. That would be ideal. So let's try and spread this. I'm hoping the national representatives have tried to get the diversity of approaches to the 4 sessions this time, so that we can have national representation in each of the rooms where possible. Any questions about what we're doing next? How we're going to break this down? We're actually now ahead of time by 5 minutes, so thank you to the other speakers for making that work so succinctly. Each of these areas is clearly of vital value in terms of developing this project. And we'll see that also obviously with the other 3 sessions after the break. They'll end up with slightly bigger discussion groups because there's only going to be 3 of those rather than 4. Can I just get a quick show of hands as to who's looking to come to group number 1? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, so I'm research this time, okay. Who's looking to come to number 2? The Equality in Teaching and Learning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3, the Professional Development. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 4, Research. Great. So research looks like it could potentially be the biggest group. Hey, brother. Okay, well done, Shahanum. So group 1 is, as we said, in the mini hall across the way there. Group 2 is the museum, which I'm told is upstairs over there. Is that correct? Museum's over there. And then 232 is over in the block, back 1 quadrangle, and 226 is back over there. So 1 is the main hall, teaching and learning is the museum, the professional development is 232, and research 226. Great, thanks, and then we'll have a break after that.